Hey everyone, and welcome back to Adobe Live. I am Flynn Tracy, and I'm here with Demas Rusli. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Thanks for coming back.
No worries.
Round 3.
3 days in a row.
Three days in a row. What do you
been
think?
good fun.
What do you think of the format?
I think it's really good because it's more like, what is it called? Concentrated.
Right.
Like everyone can just join in for a week and then learn something really quickly.
That's true. We can
And
get
then-
stuck in a little bit more
Yeah,
and spread
definitely.
everything out.
Definitely.
It's like the carousel of
Instagram.
Instagram carousel, but on live. It's Friday afternoons. We're goofing around a little bit. Hello chat, jump in, say hello. Hopefully some of you stuck around from Ichiban, Benjamin Lee episode that we just did, full of some great tips. We're kind of continuing that idea and thinking of, we were chatting about this episode and talking about a lot of those questions that you commonly get, and the tips and advice that you could give to people, which you've condensed down for us, and Demas is going to share with you today, which is very exciting.
So, the first 2 sessions we talked about, we use Photoshop a lot more and it's a bit more technical. But today I think we're just going to talk about some tips and tricks on how to grow on social media, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's a question that I get all the time, like, how do I get to 10,000 followers? How do I get to 100,000 followers or 1,000 followers? It's it's a very common question, but there's no right answer. But we can give you some tips and tricks on, not tricks, but tips on how to get there.
Guidelines.
A guideline.
Yeah.
There's no tricking it, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah.
It's probably become quite smart now in what, like all the cheats and things, anything that used to work.
Yeah, there's not there's stuff like, I don't know, buying followers or that kind of stuff, but they don't
I heard that they
really do
punish you in the algorithm once they figure that they've done that.
Because I think if you buy, because there's a website called Social Blade where you can see like how much you grow per day.
Right.
And
I thought you were plugging a place to buy.
No.
And I'm like, we probably shouldn't be plugging.
It's open to the public, so anyone can type in anyone's username and see how much they're growing every day.
Oh, really?
And so if someone has bought, you can really see that it's a spike.
Like, you've got 20,000 followers overnight.
Yeah, and then it drops like the next day, like quick, like thousands. They just drop really fast.
Wow.
But yes, that's a
That.
tip.
Bonus tip number 1. Don't do that.
Before we start, is there already a bonus tip?
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey everyone in chat. Hey Festus, Visceral, Tristan Roberts, East Coast. East Coast where?
East Coast. Which country?
Yeah, love to know. We're East Coast. We're in Sydney, so we're hanging out on the East Coast too. But yeah, cool.
Yeah, should we dig in?
Where do we start at the beginning?
So I guess so we're going to be talking about 10 tips for social media growth. The first tip is probably one of the biggest ones. It's like, don't focus on growth, but focus on creating good work. Good work is very subjective. Like, what is good work? It's sort of very hard to know, especially when you're starting. But I think just going into the mindset of just having fun and not really thinking about the pressures of social media or that kind of stuff. So I just give an example. So this image right here is probably one of the most sort of viral images that went out for me. I never thought it was going to go crazy. I never thought I'm going to post this and it will go viral.
That wasn't the plan.
That wasn't the plan.
Right.
But I guess the intrigue of it and when I was editing, I was just having fun. I'm like, what if I chuck a plane in a forest that doesn't exist, and then I put myself lying on top of it? And then it was just these ideas that came about, especially when I visited the forest and I visited the plane. I took both shots, and I just had an idea of what if I just combined the two together.
Right.
And I guess these sorts of ideas just come through experience and just going out and shooting and just seeing things. And then I've also seen a plane in the forest somewhere else, but not this dense. It's always a clearing, right? Because obviously someone's cleared it, and then they either the plane lands there in a crash, or someone's brought the plane there and they live in it. Or
it's like a ship in the bottle kind of situation. To actually physically make this, they would have had to build a plane in a forest or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or it's been so old that the trees have grown back. But I think having the story and people getting intrigued by it is the thing that I always want to try when I'm editing photos. It doesn't mean that you all have to do it. It's just the way I've been doing it. So, but it's whatever you're interested in and whatever sort of like if you're interested in portrait photography or interested in like architecture photography, like how can you take that one step further and like push that in another way? And so that's how you focus on growing your creativity, not focus on growing the numbers.
Yeah.
So it's also a bit ironic because the tip says don't focus on growth, focus on creating good work. Like growth in creativity, I think is what I've sort of been as well. The next image here is also like a bit trippy. It's like I always get inspired by movies like Inception and like Doctor Strange, where like the world started to bend and stuff.
Yeah.
And so this one is a highway in Los Angeles, and then the road is actually the road from the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco.
Right.
So I've just like taken that and kind of joined it into one image. But like, again, it's just a little bit of like practice. Like once you do it once and you know the technique, you can just apply it to lots of different things. And same here, right? This is actually, I did an Adobe Live a while ago.
We did this one. This might have been the first one.
Yeah, on how to create this. And it's actually not too hard because it's literally a foreground photo and a background photo, and you just flip the background photo.
Right.
But because the background photo is so striking, it looks like it's like the world falling on the person and the subject. But like, yeah, it just goes back on like not focusing on the numbers, but focusing more on creating good work. Because then, like people will find you if you create good work. Like people will find you nonetheless. If it's but it's also very hard to say what is good work because it's also very subjective. Yeah. But I think once you get the groove of it and like once you hit your stride running and like, I think also a tip on creating good work is like if you think something is good, if you see something like, oh, that's really cool, you can try to emulate it. Like try to do it in your own way. Right. Like
not like a one-to-one.
You could try one-on-one copy, but then like and then take that one step further or like try something different with it. But if you can get to where the copy is, that's already good, right? Because then you have created something from what you were inspired by, but then the aim is to take it one step further, and that's how you set yourself apart from others. And yeah, so that's the first tip, I guess.
That's good, yeah. And it's like to sum it up in my weird words as well, it's like the tail wagging the dog. Like don't chase the numbers, don't chase the algorithm, don't try to do that. Try to do your own, develop your own style, develop your own work, do what is good for you. Yeah. But don't,
for sure.
And chase those numbers because you'll be feeding that beast the rest of your life.
Exactly.
as well.
The next tip I would say is to give value to others. So like, why you have to question why does someone want to follow you? Yeah. Like, is it because you post really cool pictures, or is it because I don't know? Like, I feel like nowadays you should be giving more than just cool pictures. Like giving, for example, this is an example right here where I went to this temple and then I kind of researched a little bit about the temple. So I wrote in the caption what these dolls are. Just give it a bit of context and teaching people like these dolls are quite sacred to the Japanese tradition. And so people buy them and then you fill in one eye and then you make a wish. And then you go home. You go home, and once your wish comes true, you bring these dolls back to the temple and fill in the other eye. And so you
take the doll with you?
Yeah. You buy it at the temple and you take it home.
So these are all successful wishes?
I guess so, yes.
Right.
And so there's a wall of these at this temple, and it's a very interesting story.
For anyone that caught the Ichiban episode, this is dominant eye. Straight down the middle, once again.
Except it's not a person, it's a little doll.
It works, it's a great effect.
But yeah, so like giving that extra value of like, what is this place? Or just explaining to people what it is already a value in itself. Another thing I also like to do is give people like before and afters and like tips and tricks on how to edit. And so I would chuck these on my stories and then like people can tap through and like see how the image changes like that. So like, and on stories I would write like, step 1, do this, step 2, do that. And you can write exactly what you did. And it doesn't have to be like exactly move slider exposure to +5 like that. It can just be like increase exposure or decrease contrast. Just like, just to give a guide on how to edit the way you do. Because obviously, if people are looking at your work, they're interested in how you edit it. And even if you don't have that big of a following yet, you can still do this because obviously there's people out there who will still be interested.
Totally.
And especially if you have a unique editing style or whatnot that that people want to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is like a little before and after, and like you can see how it's such a big change, right? The colors.
Do you get very many people sort of seeing that and going, "Oh, thanks, Demas, I'm going to give that a shot"?
Yeah, definitely.
Photography fun. And then going out and then giving it a shot and then sharing it and sort of saying, "Oh, hey, check it out, I tried your technique."
It works a lot better if I make YouTube videos. So I've made a couple of YouTube videos where I explain how to do panning photography.
You should, your panning one I've seen.
Or I did like a mobile photography tips and tricks last week. And so people have been showing, like I did one where it's like a vertical panorama. So I used the panorama mode on my phone, but instead of going sideways, I go upwards.
Right.
And you create like a very warped sort of wide angle photo.
Right.
And so people have been trying that and showing me, it's really cool to see, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, I think like Instagram's good for tapping and quickly learning, but YouTube is where people like keep going back and keep seeing it.
Yeah,
and keep,
that's true.
like,
we're on YouTube. What up, YouTube? Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's longer form, right? You know, you can get into those details.
Yeah. And that's where I want to move towards. Like, it's a very tough space to be in. Like, as in, because it's so much more than just Instagram. You have to like record yourself. You got to edit yourself. You got to record your voice. You got to. There's so much more.
There's so much more involved.
But I think it just has to be done, and I want to do it as well.
Yeah.
So the next tip I would give is to be social and engage genuinely. By this I mean, like, comment on photos that you actually like, and then also when people comment to your photos, like reply back and like talk to people and generate a conversation. I guess this video right here is gonna play. Is it gonna play? Let me just try this escape.
Yeah, go for it.
Because it was playing before. Let's play. Playing? Oh, it's playing there.
It's playing there.
But it's a spinning phone. What if I...
Should be playing on click.
Is it because I'm in display mode?
No, should be.
Pen, see all slides.
That's okay. Let's just watch it in the smaller version.
Anyways.
You guys get it.
Yeah.
It's a mobile phone.
It's a mobile phone that's spinning.
It's a crazy good effect. I love this one.
So what I did here was, in the story I actually showed how I did it. And I use a string and I attached it into the SIM card slot.
Is that what you... I was going to ask like what you actually put that into.
So I tied a string onto the SIM card slot.
Wow.
And then it's hanging. And so in the edit I masked the string out. And then on the actual screen, I used like a green image. So it's like a full green screen.
So like you did a mobile phone green screen, but it's just a green, like JPEG.
A green JPEG I found on like Google Images.
That's awesome.
And so that's how I managed to mask out and turn the screen into nighttime. So it's like a night photo in the background, but I just masked out the green screen. And the hand is a layer on top, and that's why the water's still moving in the background, because it's just a still hand on top. And the little shooting star, if you see that like every second or third frame there's a shooting star, that's just a little sort of GIF I found that I just like shoots you just put it on like blending mode, I think screen or lighten or one of them.
All right.
And you just get through the black and then it just shoots up.
Cool.
But people were so interested in how I created it, so that like everyone was just commenting, and this is one of the most commented posts on my feed actually.
Oh really?
Because people are just so
This is fairly recent, right?
Maybe a year ago.
Maybe a year, yeah.
And so people, just super interested in how I created it, and that's why I put it on my stories. But I guess it just goes back in like being social and engaging, like things that you like.
Yeah.
And then I guess the next example would be, let's go back to the slides. To reply back. So like these are like, I guess, friends that comment. So like there's Ben in there, there's Pat who's been on the
Oh yeah, Pat K's been on the live before, yep.
And so like, and I reply, it's just not always just like a thank you or whatever. Like I reply with like, I don't know, but David Sark says Fanta fresh, and then I go, great Fanta is the best though. It's just like
bit of banter.
A bit of banter is always good, and it shows a bit of your personality as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like just being engaging, I think is very important.
I think this is where a lot of people fall down. Like is like actually engaging with people. It's kind of posted out. I hope lots of people like it, but that's as much energy as I'm going to put into it.
Because at the end of the day, these social platforms are social. Like people want to know who you are and like want to know, want you to reply back and all that kind of stuff.
It's a quick question if we've got time for a question.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to edit the urban shot like you showed before? You talking about the phone spinning one or this one? Probably this one.
Or maybe
suppose.
these ones?
Yeah.
This one took me a bit of time to get the road to match correctly, but once it's matched, it's actually not too bad. Like as in, you get that photo and you just put the road on it and then you mask out everything else. This one didn't, maybe an hour, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah. I'm always surprised at how long, like when we were chatting yesterday, but how long it will take you to get it done. Obviously, there's really experience in there as well, like doing it lots of times. But
this one was super quick because we did it on a live stream, and this one, I think if I wasn't like talking and like editing, I think I could do it in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I guess these ones, it's not too bad. Like it's just getting rid of people, right? And I'm using techniques that I've taught yesterday and all that kind of stuff. So I used another photo there, and so that's why the person's gone. The person's gone, and then same in the background there. I use another
different photo in the same spot.
Yes.
Like once that person had moved, and then put it together.
And then these motion blur effects. I think we also did one of a live stream where we did like motion blur.
We did motion blur. Yeah, we did the city lights.
Yeah,
I think we're going vertically. Yeah.
And then the next tip I would say is be active and stay consistent. So I've been on Instagram since 2012, and I haven't really taken a break. Like I used to post every single day when I first started. Yeah. Like maybe even 2 or 3 photos a day, and I think that's how my initial growth came about.
Right.
And because I was so active, I was like, I just love taking photos. I just love posting it, and then I just kept doing it. So this is actually the very first photo I ever posted on Instagram, which was on April 10, 2012.
The photo that started it all, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and it was my wife and I eating at a teppanyaki restaurant where this guy's cooking in front of us, and it was taken on a phone, and my wife actually took this photo.
Oh, and wow.
So I just posted
it. Built on a foundation of lies.
So I just posted it. It was very, but like, I think like 2 or 3 weeks after that, I went on this massive trip with my cousin, who's a photographer from Indonesia.
Right.
And he asked me to be an assistant to his like pre-wedding shoot. So he came from Indonesia with a client, and he was going to go to the snowy mountains. And he asked me to hold the flash and change the lenses. I knew nothing about photography at the time. I just made an Instagram account, so I was like, okay, let's just go check it out. So this next shot was like one of the first photos I took on my phone. And so it was just like, you can see how like quality-wise, obviously back then it wasn't very good, but it's just like the scene. Like I think learning about composition and just like rule of thirds. I think back then I sort of knew what was like, I think the architecture background that I was doing. I was in second year university doing architecture at the time. I kind of knew a bit of composition, a bit of like rule of thirds. So I put the fence on the rule of third line at the bottom, and this tree sort of on the rule of thirds on the left. And then like, this was also from the same trip, like just showing the color of the sky. But just posting very, very actively and very constantly, like you should grow like organically.
Yeah.
But I guess over time, like I used to post every day 2 to 3 times a day. But then I cut it down to like 1 a day. Then now I've cut it down to like 3 or 4 a week.
Right.
But I think I've focused more on quality and like how like the standard is I think a lot higher now on myself. I put a bit more pressure on myself to create like more creative things. And so, but that's like, even though you're posting less, like 3 or 4 times a week, it's still consistent and it's still active. It doesn't mean that like you have to post 7 or 10 times a week. It just means that if you want to post once a week, that do it actively, do it consistently. Here's a funny screenshot of when I hit 10,000 followers back in the day.
Wow.
That's how old Instagram used. That's what
Instagram
used to look like.
I remember.
Which is crazy. And then I took a screenshot. I was like,
it's so funny because
very
like even back then, like it's almost breaking the design, just a bit of UI, like how it says 10,000 instead of like 10K.
yeah.
Like it's so funny that
I think there was a story. I think Justin Bieber was one of the first ones that hit like 1 million or
right.
something.
It must have like
Yeah, and they
gone
didn't
out
know
of
what to do,
frame.
and he just like kept going.
Yeah.
And then like I think 2 days after, he just changed to an M.
Yeah, exactly,
So-
exactly. Because it's broken because it was such an early app.
But yeah, and then so that was I was very proud that day. I was like, oh, so happy, blah, blah. But again, like, it's not about the numbers. It's just like a little milestone that you can celebrate, but like you just keep going. Like just.
What did you do? Did you go to Teppanyaki?
No,
No.
I was actually in Tasmania at the time, just on a holiday. But it just so happened that I was on a holiday.
Yeah.
And then the next slide here is one of my first ever paid commissions was for Adidas NMD shoes. So that was, if you see the date there, it's 2016. So that's 4 years after I started my Instagram account.
Right.
So like, I think like a lot of people also ask like, how do you make money from Instagram or how do you make money from social media? But if your focus is not that and just focusing on creating good work, I think clients will end up coming to you. And once you get 1 or 2 clients under your belt, then you can start pitching maybe to other clients as well.
Right.
And seeing you have a bit built up your portfolio. But even if you haven't worked with a client before, you can also send your portfolio through your website or something, or like just showing what you can do.
Yeah.
But another tip, I guess, is like if you're into shooting sneakers, for example, you just should shoot your own sneakers.
Yeah.
Like, don't wait until a brand comes and approaches you. But like if you shoot your own sneakers and show what you can do with sneakers, then maybe a brand might come. So like, I think just being proactive and showing what you can do and what you can't do with certain products might be able to help you land jobs.
Yeah, I think that works like for anyone's portfolio within work in you know, whether you're looking for a brand to come with you or looking to do that kind of work, is to do the work that you want to be paid to do.
Yes.
You know, as you know, you know, putting it out into the world and practicing it and getting really good at it. Because it's all good to say, hey, I really want to work for Adidas and shoot shoes.
Yeah.
If you've never done it before, they're like, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's your first shot. You're like,
Exactly.
well, maybe it would be good to practice a little bit. And you can A/B test your audience and stuff as well, and find out what they think works.
Exactly.
And what goes out there.
Let me just show you quickly.
Luke was asking a question. Do you ever feel pressured to post?
I don't, because I know for sure that like in a week I'm gonna post 3 or 4 photos.
Right.
So like
You have it planned a
I've
little
already
bit.
planned in ahead.
Yeah.
But like sometimes a brand might be like, can you post something tomorrow? Or like then you gotta put that pressure on yourself. But like if it's for my own thing, if it's just a passion project, like if I don't want to post, I just won't. Like it's like before in the past I used to be.
Yeah.
But now I'm sort of more at the stage where I feel like I know when to post, or like I've prepared something and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
I usually try to prepare maybe 3 or 4 posts a week.
Yeah. Which is the question Vishal was asking there. Yeah. Do you usually have edits planned ready ahead of time?
Yeah.
Or just before you post? So you're about a week or 2.
Yeah. So I usually plan maybe 3 or 4 photos ahead, which is a week.
Yeah.
But sometimes like if there's a special like a brands thing, like I have to slot it in place, and like I use this app called Preview. There's an app called Preview, or there's another one called Unum, UNUM, where you can plan your feed.
Right.
You can like drag this photo here or this photo there, so you can see what it's going to look like. So like for me on my Instagram feed, it's very, very subtle, but I think we spoke in the past where it's like a dark photo, a light photo, a dark photo, a light photo. It's like a checkerboard pattern, but it's very subtle.
Yeah.
But it's just a way for me to control what I post next. So I have like a little bit of a guideline. So looking back on that sneaker shoot before, it kind of led towards a bunch of sneaker shoots right afterwards.
Right.
And one of the bigger things I've done, if I can find it, is this thing with Nike. Where is it? This one. So like, where the concept was the lightest ones, the shoe.
Right.
And so I did this idea of like the shoe flying away from you. And so in the back there, you can see my foot doesn't have a shoe.
Yeah.
Because it's the right shoe's flying away.
Cool.
And then I did like, I did other ones where like the shoe becomes a balloon. Cool. It's pulling me up into the sky. And the last one where it's like flying and then like I'm in a helicopter, but like it was from a helicopter shoot I did for fun. And so I just grabbed that background photo, took a photo of my hand, not even in the helicopter, and I like just threw my shoe around a few times and composite it all into one photo.
Oh wow.
But
Cool.
it's all like very conceptual. But it's like these ideas. I think I've like you see little things here and there from the past, but then you try to make it your own. But yeah, it's like there's this guy on Instagram called Rockadeezy, and he's like he's a maybe I can find him. He's a breakdancer. Rockadeezy. So he does all these photos where he's like flying, like just like levitating,
Oh right.
and it's like pretty crazy. So the flying idea came from him, obviously, because he's a breakdancer and does all this, like he's running on walls and stuff like that. So
pretty
like,
cool.
so that idea just came from that, and then like, yeah, but like just one thing always leads to another. I think is a thing that I always say,
Yeah.
because like this Adidas shoot led to the Nike shoot, and then it led to lots of different things, and
Yeah.
lots of different things.
Yeah.
The next thing would be like try new things or change one thing. Change at least one thing. So, as an example, this is a shot of Times Square in New York City. And I've seen this shot lots of times.
Lots of times.
Lots
on.
of Times Square,
Demas. So funny.
but unintentional.
I know, unintentional. That's what makes it so good.
So, I've seen this a lot, but like you either need a really, really wide angle camera or you need like a 360 camera to get this sort of shot.
Yeah.
So what I did was I did like a panning shot. So I took a photo and then took another photo, took another photo, took another photo, took another photo.
Like going up like that.
Yeah. And so that's how I was able to stitch it together in Lightroom. And it's really easy in Lightroom. There's like a stitch, I think, button or something.
Yeah.
And you can stitch them into a panorama, and it creates this for you.
Yeah, I would have guessed that it was a fisheye lens or
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Or
But
yeah,
like-
360. Actually, because now I think about it, would it need to be more than that?
Yeah, because it's like almost 180 degrees
Yeah.
because you see the building all the way at the back.
Yeah.
But I did shoot it on a 12mm lens, which is quite wide already.
Right.
But when you add this effect, it becomes a lot wider.
Yeah.
So just like changing that one thing already makes the image something a bit better and a bit different. Another one would be this one. Oh, the video's not playing.
Jump out and show the video and the thing. It does that.
So
John
this-
Paul was, just while we're doing that, John Paul was asking what photo size crop ratio do you regularly use?
So for Instagram, it's always 4x5
4 by
for
5,
me
huh?
because that's the tallest you can go. And on a phone, you want to get the maximum screen sort of real estate so people see your picture the biggest as it can be.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. But like on a website, you can do 16:9, but like it's depending on the platform
Yeah.
that you're gonna post to.
Yeah.
But if it's Instagram, which I mainly do, it's always 4x5.
Cool.
And I try to not like downsize it. Like if it's a resolution of your camera, then just use that. Like
Right.
don't crop it in too tight. Like there's a certain point where you get too tight and then it gets a bit pixelated. But
Right.
it depends how many megapixels your camera is as well. So this place here is actually called Face House in Kyoto.
It's a good name.
Yep. And I've seen this photo done a lot during the day. So it's like quite bright, and there's always like a salaryman, which is like a Japanese businessman walking past. And it's like a classic shot that kind of lots of people do. So my friend and I, who's standing there in the photo, Koki, we were in Kyoto at the time, and we're like, let's just check it out at night. Like, what if the lights are on, and what if, we just had all these ideas. So we went there, and none of the lights were on. So like, okay, what can we do? So he had a light stick, the one we were talking about yesterday.
Oh yeah.
So we put it behind him. So that's that light that's behind him shining on his legs.
Wow.
So that's that part. And then I said I can Photoshop the eyes to turn it on. And then I made into this little animation that the house is coming alive. But like, it's just like that one extra thing, like me changing that one thing. Like not from day, but shooting at night was already that one step that generated all these ideas. So that change really helped with creating this, I guess.
Yeah. So you're out there and you're thinking, well, what can we add to this, or what can we do in addition to this? What can we do that's different?
Yeah,
that everyone else has done here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the eyes, it's really easy to create. Actually, you just draw like a white circle,
Right.
and then you add like glow, like an outer glow. You know how in like the side you can just double click on the layer and it gives you all these options?
Yeah. So that's what outer glow is for.
Yes.
I never use it for anything.
Yeah, so I use outer glow for that.
Yeah.
And then all I did was mask out the telephone lines in front. So, and that's it. That's how you make sort of like a light turn on from a window. Another extra step, if you really want to get detail, is to like brighten the walls on the side. So if you see the side of the walls,
it's like
a little bit brighter. But that's sort of like understanding light and understanding how a shine of light would obviously affect the windows on the walls on the side as well.
Yeah, and obviously making it move, like making it into a GIF, like is much more engaging and makes it interesting. Kind of makes you stare at it for quite a long time and think, wow, how'd they do that?
Exactly.
What's going on?
Another example would be this one, where it's a market in Bangkok. It's an hour out of Bangkok, and I've seen the shot on the left here a lot, which is the shot on the ground. I've seen lots of people obviously go there because it's a very touristy spot, but I've never seen anyone kind of chuck a drone up and see the angle from above. So when I was there, I thought, actually before I went, I knew that they open and close the awnings.
Right.
Like I knew that was going to happen. So I had this idea before I even got there, like what will it look like from above? So I chucked my drone up, and this is actually the most sort of shared, sort of viral thing like that's been on my feed.
Yeah.
Like it's gone very, like a lot of places, like even news.com I think shared it or something.
Right.
So like it's very interesting obviously because I sped it up 10 times, so it's much more dramatic. And then you can see how the tables just come, and then like they just close the awning back up, and then they just go back to business.
Yeah.
This happens 8 times a day.
Wow.
There, so they have to, and they've gone to the point where like they put their tables on wheels, so it's really easy for them to just pull back.
It's a practical solution.
Yeah. But it's like such a cool place,
amazing.
super interesting. But that one change, like, really changed, like, took your content to the next level.
Yeah.
The
there was a question in chat just before we move on. Carolyn was asking, how do you learn about light? Because we were talking about that light, and you were saying you kind of need to know, understand light to be able to get away with that sort of thing. So how did you learn about light?
I think just like maybe from previous edits. So like I did an edit, and then either I noticed like, oh, that should have been lit up more, or like, oh, the shadow's going the wrong way.
Right.
Like just learning from your mistakes is a good way to learn about light. Also, it's like as in like I think it's just like a little bit of understanding like day-to-day life. Like as in like if you switch on a light, will it leak out into the room next door? Like I guess it's just like imagining it, like seeing if it's looking right or not. I guess that's how I learned about it. It's just like day-to-day experiences and like even editing experiences as well. Yeah,
like being perceptive to it. Like if you want to learn about it, like trying to be perceptive to it. Like
Exactly.
In your own,
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
The next tip I would give is to post timely and relevant content. So like, as an example, when the Joker movie came out, I really loved the movie, and so I created this little edit of the Joker just standing in a New York City train, because the Joker was filmed in New York City, and there was like a few scenes where he's on the train and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I took this photo just randomly when I was in New York. Like I thought I was never going to use it, because it was just like there was no subject. It was just like between two windows. I was like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen ever with this photo.
Take the shot, keep it.
Yeah, just using it. Like I just took it, I don't know, just for fun. And then the Joker came out, and it inspired me to create an edit. So I was looking through my New York photos, like, what can I do? And then I found this one. I'm like, oh, maybe I can Photoshop a Joker into the background of this photo in the train and looking at you. And yeah, it did quite well on social media, but again, I didn't expect it to, but I just created it for my own sake because I love the movie. And yeah, so just timeliness of a post can really push it to the next level. Because
so if you had this and then you kind of posted it today, it's kind of come and gone.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit. Like
or
it's had
I could
its
have
time
posted it when Joaquin Phoenix won the Oscars or something, right? Like that kind of stuff works, and understanding like pop culture or what movies out right now or what things happening right now also helps. So like these two were edits I created during the World Cup, the last World Cup, and so I just photoshopped in a soccer field in like different places in the world. There's a question here about copyright issues with the Joker. Yeah. I think I just found a stock photo. So it's a photo that's used everywhere, so I think it was okay. Like it was no copyright or anything, it was just a stock photo I found. Right. Yeah. So that's it. And then this is when Game of Thrones came out. Right. and just like finding pictures of dragons and stock photos and stuff like that. And like, these are from posters of Game of Thrones that I just kind of like grabbed.
Cut out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, in a way, it's just for fun, right? Like, it's not like if they ever catch you, I'm not selling it commercially.
Right.
It's just like me
It's like
putting
fan art, or in a way.
Yeah, exactly. It's just fan art. So if Game of Thrones ever reaches out, I'm like, hey, you've stolen this, and I just delete it. It's okay.
Yeah.
But as long as you're not selling it, I think it's okay.
There's 2 questions about the copyright straight away.
Then I guess this is like post what you like, don't worry about the likes. This is very sort of similar to the very first tip. So I don't usually shoot portraits and stuff, but sometimes I do. So like, this is some portraits that I took of my wife during that trip in Japan, near Mount Fuji with all the cherry blossoms. So I really like these photos, and I know that if I'm going to post it, it probably won't get as much engagement because it's not what I usually post. But I don't really mind because I like it.
Yeah.
So whatever you do, just like post what you like, and don't worry about if it's going to get high engagement, low engagement. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Because it shows your capabilities of doing other things as well. Yeah. And then the next thing as well, like street photography, I don't really do too much of it. Like Ben does a lot more than me. But I took a photo of this guy on a train, and it was actually the one on the right. And I zoomed in, I cropped in because my camera is like 60 megapixels.
Right.
So I was able to crop into the one
You
on the
got
left.
pixels to spare.
Yeah, so it's like, and then I showed the before and after and how like it was, actually I just took a photo of this guy, and then when I actually zoomed in, it looked really cool. So I posted it and I liked it. So it doesn't really matter because it's okay. Like it's your own feed. You should be able to show what you want to. Like, don't limit yourself on like a specific type of content.
Yeah.
If you shoot good food photos, then post it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Then the next tip would be meet like-minded people and collaborate.
Yeah. So just before we move on, so just Carolyn was asking the tree stock photo in that previous one that you were showing. I think the one with the plane.
Oh, that's not a stock photo.
That was your photo.
I took that photo.
And then we're chatting about. It's funny. It's interesting. Yeah, Carol was talking about is how selling is defined. Like, if you make money from Instagram, is that selling? So
that's a very tough question. But it is, but like, it's not a certain brand, right? As in like, if I'm making money on Instagram, not from Instagram, like Instagram's not paying me,
right?
But it's these brands that see my work, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, so that's sort of where like social media and how people get paid. Like YouTube pays people, which Instagram doesn't. So that's the difference between the two.
It's a big difference.
How much of your revenue comes from social media as opposed to commission work? I think all my revenue comes from social media.
Right.
Because I became a photographer because of Instagram.
Right.
But commission work has come, but I think they find me from social media.
Because of social media, or someone's worked with you, and then because they found you on social media, and then they said, hey, we work with this guy, did this thing, and they know someone, and then it becomes word of mouth after that.
Yeah, because I never thought I would become a photographer. Like, as in when I first started.
Yeah.
It's all just because...
Back in 2012 at the Teppanyaki restaurant,
exactly.
that wasn't part of the plan.
Exactly. So, like, just because growing on Instagram, I think a brand, and then brands start to look at Instagram and social media, then they see the type of work that you do, they see your portfolio.
Right.
Then all these commissions and jobs start to come.
Right. Cool.
So this is a photo. So the tip was meet like-minded people and collaborate. This is a photo that we took at a Melbourne Insta Meet. So there's these meets called Insta Meets. They don't happen as much anymore, but there are still some going around, I think. But we used to do meets called, we used to run a page called Global Night Squad, and it's a meet where we walk around the city at night taking photos. We used to do them maybe like once every 3 months. And we've just kind of got like really busy the last year or so that like we haven't done any, but like if we can, we would love to.
It's hard to keep that community stuff going.
Yeah, for sure. It's really, really tough. Like, it's so fun though, like just meeting everyone. And this is a good way to meet people. Like, this is how I met like all my photography friends. So I met like Ben, TK, Pat, everyone through Insta Meets.
Right.
And if there are no Insta Meets in your community, maybe you can send someone a message. Like, it could be done like digitally as well.
Yeah.
So this is a video that I created during a trip. Like all these friends in this video were friends we met through Instamates and Instagram. And so we went on this road trip to Stockton Sand Dunes.
Right.
And I just got a run to jump and then like create a little animation from it. And then another way to collaborate is to just do it digitally. So like this is a collaboration with Ben Marriott, who is coming on to the live soon, I think.
Yeah, he's going to be a guest on Derby Live in a couple of weeks.
He's got a very good YouTube channel teaching people how to create like animations like this. And so I actually met Ben, but even if I didn't meet Ben, we could have still done this collaboration.
Right.
Because we found each other's work. We actually met first time during like his Adobe Live last time, and then I was there after. But like, even if I found his work on Instagram and I liked it, I was like, hey, do you want to collaborate? Or he goes, hey, do you want to collaborate? And that's sort of it. But like, another way could be like a cold collaboration. So if you like someone's work and maybe you want to animate it. So it's happened to me a few times where like, I can show you here actually, if I go to my fade, where I created this sort of edit. Where is it? I created this. This is an edit I created from a staircase in Hong Kong. So I flipped it and then I put two people in there and the balloons.
Did you add the color?
No, the stairs are already like that.
Oh wow!
It's a school in Hong Kong.
That is crazy. Super awesome.
And then this guy, I think his Instagram is JV Doming or something. He animated it, like without even asking me, but it was so cool that I was like, hey, can I repost it? So these sorts of collaborations happen.
Cool. Because
like
I love that the stairs are going at a different rate to the.
And look at the people. It's like he's bending. See how he's looking up at the balloon now?
Oh yeah! Wow. That's super cool.
Yeah, he's animated it very, very well. And like now, like Lucy on the left's like reaching down, the hand's going down. So like it's a very cool animation. And like I was like, I love it so much. I'm like, let's repost it and make it a collab. Yeah. So it was something unexpected, but it worked out in the end. So that's sort of how like you can create a collaboration with someone in a way. And they just can come out of nowhere sometimes. The next tip is like put in the hours. There are no shortcuts. Like this is what we were saying before of like how there's no trick to growing on social media. You actually have to put in the work and like show that you put in your work. So like I guess this would be one of the edits that took me one of the longest times because I had to warp the basketball court. I had to Photoshop myself 5 times. I took photos of myself dribbling and like Is this all you? That's all me. Yeah. And I took photos myself. Like I was holding a drone remote in one hand, dribbling basketball in the other hand. All right. It's like it took a while. I was in like planning it and like getting it done. Yeah. Are you really dunking, or did you just like Photoshop yourself? That's a layup. That's a layup. All right. Cool. All right. I wish I could dunk. Want to learn about photography, not basketball? Yeah, no. That's cool. You could just throw yourself Jordan in there. I could. You could do it. And then just like lift the shadow, like make the shadow go away from you a bit more. Yeah. So like you look like you're jumping a lot higher. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, man, I was dunking. That's fine. That's just a Saturday for me. But like, yeah, so I guess like put in the hours. Like, if you don't know how to do something, try, and you want to know how to do something, like look for tutorials on YouTube or like just try it out on. Just play with different things, and like there's obviously if no one's gonna see it at the end of the day, it's just your trial and error. It's fine. Like just there's so much stuff that like I don't put out because it's just a trial. Like I'm trialing stuff, testing stuff out, trying new things. Not everything's gonna work. Yeah, exactly. There's stuff that won't work ever. Yeah, but if you try it, it'll just make you learn for next time. And it's really it's good. Like it's good to try new things and like. Don't worry about making mistakes. Joe was asking in chat, what's your dream collaboration? Is there someone, maybe even a brand? Because you work with some pretty crazy, like pretty big brands, like very cool brands like Adidas and stuff like that, Samsung and Adobe and all sorts of places. I don't know. I enjoy the brands that I currently work with. Yeah. It's obviously been a dream of mine to work with these brands at the beginning, but like it's all happened. But like obviously, well now you got nowhere to go. No. There's like so many other brands, but like it's just like when a brand and you work out and you sync and you can create something good, then that's a dream collab, right? As in like no matter what the brand is, if it's like aligned to your work and aligned to what you create, it's always going to be good. Yeah. It's
Cool.
The next one is another video, and again, like this took me a while to figure out how to do. So it's like a time slice, and it's a day to night time lapse, but I've sliced it 20 times. So I've seen a friend of mine do this, but I didn't ask him how he did it, but I just wanted to challenge myself to see if I can do it.
Right, see if you can figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it started off being a day to night time lapse. So it's like a video that's like going from day to night.
Yeah.
And then you slice it up, you crop it 20 times, and then you start the crop at a different point of the video.
Right.
And that's how you create it.
Cool.
And so it took me a while to figure out, but when I figured it out, it's like the feeling of reward is so much more than like if I had asked him. Like I could have asked him if I wanted to, like how do you make one?
Yeah.
But I just thought maybe I could do it, I could try it out.
Yeah.
And
Did you get it first time?
No, so I think that when I tried it first, it was going the other way. So like
Right.
it was going like instead of light to dark, it was going dark to light,
Right.
and it was a bit weird. And then I tried to just play around with it a bit more, and then I got it right. But yeah, it's like I plan on making like a YouTube tutorial on how to make this as well very
cool.
soon. And the last tip is to be patient and have fun. Yeah, there's definitely no right or wrong answer. This is like a little fun little cinematograph. I guess Ben showed it in his one too, right?
Yeah, his was much more cropped in.
Yeah.
Like in the top.
Yeah. But yeah, just have fun with it. Don't limit
This was a
yourself.
collab, wasn't it?
No.
Between you guys, or you guys just went to the same spot?
We just went to the same spot together.
Yeah.
There were actually a few questions that my followers asked yesterday.
Cool.
If we can answer them.
Sure. I've got one in chat as we're going up as well. Do you spend a lot of time looking at other artists on Instagram?
I do.
Yeah.
I do for sure. There's a lot of really good artists. You can see who I follow. So it says, who do you follow, the question. You can see who I follow on my following list.
Right.
And those are the people that I see every day. And the people I follow are the ones that inspire me.
Right.
So, yeah. So that and their work I see, and then if I like something, I try to take it on board, and then try to make something different from it.
Yeah.
So yesterday I asked a bunch of questions.
You pulled a question in.
There was one is, what is the use, Sebastian Raul 980 asked, what is the use for hashtags?
Right.
So a hashtag allows your work to be discovered in more ways.
Yeah.
And there are sort of like a tip for using hashtags is to use relevant ones. So if you're posting like let's say a city shot, right? There's different pages on Instagram that feature city photos.
Right.
So you want to use those hashtags.
Right.
As an example, there's like...
You have to go find the exact one that people
If you just
use?
type in city in like the search, it should come up, or urban or street, or that kind of stuff. There's all these feature pages. And a tip for that is to use the tags that the pages are still active. So you look at, like, if they're still posting photos 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago, or 24 hours ago, it means they're still active, then you should use those tags.
Right.
But if their last photo was like last year, then there's no point in using that tag because it's kind of dead.
That's good advice.
I always update my hashtags. Like,
You have a quick look around to see
I
if
check
they're relevant.
if these tags are still relevant. Like, if it's a travel photo, there's so many travel feature pages, right?
Yeah.
If it's a Sydney photo, you can tag hashtag I love Sydney, which is the Tourism Sydney one.
Right.
So there's lots of different ways to use hashtags, and that's one of them. And of course, you can just hashtag the place, hashtag Sydney, because lots of people will start looking at it, like just general public. What else?
We've only got maybe 3 minutes left.
How do you find these amazing locations you shoot? I guess through Instagram and through architecture, like going to uni or like being exposed to it at work. I see lots of cool buildings, so I know in Sydney what the new building is going to be, or like when I travel, I always search. You can Google it as well, like cool architecture in Barcelona or cool photography spots in New York. Then there's usually a list you can find.
Do you ever ask your friends, like, you know, other photographers? You're like, hey, I'm going to Singapore. Like, what would you recommend?
Of course.
Which comes back to the idea of community, right? Like how.
And I meet up with them as well.
Yeah.
And like people ask me sometimes, like, meet up or whatever. But sometimes if I'm busy, I tell them, I can give you a set. Like the pin where it is, like if you want to go to this plot or whatever.
Or they're just like, look at my feed, I took like 20 photos.
But like even if anyone asks me where it is, I'm always going to share it. I'm not going to be secretive about a location of a photo because anyone can go there.
True.
What else?
We got time for one more because I want to show a very quick video before we.
Is keeping a consistent theme important on Instagram? I think yes, but also no. Like, you don't have to be always shooting portraits. You don't have to always be shooting drone photos. But if your theme, like I guess my theme is photography, it's like very broad, or creative editing, then that's my consistent theme. So yes, it's important, but no, you don't have to just stick to one specific type of content. Yeah, that's it.
Good. So many tips. Gear's probably a big one. We probably don't have enough time in the next 30 seconds to get to gear. But I don't know if we actually have time to show the video. So I think we'll just say thank you. There's been so many great tips. If you want to catch some of this stuff, it's going to be on Behance for a while, and then after about a week, it's probably easy to find on our YouTube channel. So you can click through and subscribe to that. If you're watching on YouTube, hi YouTube. And thank you so much. This has been part 3. It's been great spending these 3 days with you. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope everyone has a good time and learns something from it.
Yeah, and thank you everyone in chat. Thanks for the great questions. Thanks for everyone that's been around for the last couple of days, or if you've only been here for this one, thank you so much. Ben Marriott, who was in there, is actually going to be on Adobe Live pretty soon. So check out his work in preparation for that, and we will see you then. Bye.
Bye.